Hello YouTube, De-bodgery here. So that's my Lee 600. I just did 16 cells, and this is a Panasonic NCR18650PF. They're 2950 milliamp hour cells, and I have 16 of them that are of the exact same age, all seeing the same amount of usage. So they're not new. They have a little bit less than their 2950 milliamp hour capacity left, and that can be clearly seen across all of my test results. So the Lee 600 got used. Here is my MC3100 from XTAR, and here is two XTAR VP4 pluses, and all 16 cells have gone through full capacity testing and IR testing on all 4 cell testers. So what I want to point out to you here is that the type of cell tester and how it does IR directly affects how consistent or reliable IR testing is. So these spring-loaded types, so on this Lidocala, they are chrome-plated, and on the MC3100, they are sterling silver-plated. But both of them, the little nubs, they're like a little rounded over bump, but they're not sharp or anything. And when you put a cell in here, you may or may not pierce whatever oxidization you might have between the contacts or the cell or whatever, and as a result, results will vary. My best results was to take a cell and roll it like that a bunch of times in there before I start doing any actual testing. And as a result, well, this shows up in camera, there's a shiny spot on the bottom of the cell, and there's less of one on the top side too, but that kind of like scrubs the grunge off of the contacts and the battery posts, and that got me better results. However, these are the VP4 Plus test probes, and the ends are a bunch of little sharp points, so it grips my finger. You know, if I kept doing this, I'd be bloody in a minute, because there's lots of those short ends, and I think they just pierce through all that crap that you might possibly build up between them, you know, oxidation or dirt or whatever, and as a result, they do a much better job. And the testing results for IR that I have bear this out. So let me go through that. Oh, and by the way, the VP4 Pluses, I have a Chinese milliometer, it's just a 2-wire milliometer, and it reads the same values within a milliohm or two of what both of the VP4 Pluses show up, or test at. So I have a high level of confidence between 2 VP4 Pluses and a milliometer, all saying the same milliohms for the cells. I have a high level of confidence that that's probably accurate. Whereas what I'll explain here in a second makes me question whether the Lee 600 or even the very expensive MC3100 are reliable, capable, accurate, so on and so forth, of measuring cell IR. Okay, so on the Lee 600, my lowest IR is 26 milliohms, and my highest is 74, right above it. So, you know, there's a difference right there of 40 milliohms, almost, 38 milliohms difference. Let's look over here at this column. This is the MC3100 milliohms, and my lowest number is 34 milliohms. My highest is 80. So we're talking about 46 milliohms difference, almost 50 milliohms different between the lowest and the highest. And the same can be said for the Lee 600. It's got a really large variance in what it measures for cell resistance. However, if you look at the VP4 Plus 1 and the VP4 Plus 2, my lowest number is 15 milliohms, and my highest number is 23. So 7 milliohms different. And on top of that, the milliometer tests the cells nearly identically to the VP4 Pluses. So my confidence level as far as IR are concerned is pretty darn high for the VP4 Pluses, and sketchy at best for the relatively expensive Lee 600 and the definitely expensive MC3100. And it all comes down to how the contacts make up with the cells. And this was after spinning them around to make sure that I got clean contact. It still was much less consistent. So anyway, for IR, I would say I trust the VP4 Pluses, and I don't trust the Lease 600 or the MC3100, despite the MC3100 being a $100 cell tester. Alright, so if what you care about is testing cell capacity, I have to say the Lease 600 is just fine. As much as I hate saying that because it's a toy, it's poorly built. Nevertheless, it tests capacity very similarly to the more expensive VP4 Pluses or the way more expensive MC3100. I'll just pick cell 1, just as an arbitrary one. So 2785 from the Lease 600, 2814 from VP4 Plus 1, 2731 from VP4 Plus 2, and 2718 from the MC3100. So I got a 2800, but otherwise everything else is pretty close together. So 2718, 2731, that's just, that's 11, 12 milliamps off. Or 2785, again, it's slightly more, but still, it's just a few milliamps off. So those are pretty darn consistent results. Let me pick another one here. So it's cell 12. So 2709, 2722, 2919, and 2730. I got 3 results in the 27s and a 29. 200 milliamps-ish off, or milliamp hours off. That's a fairly small margin of error. Number 16 is a good example. 2743, 2809, 2744, and 2733. Or 37. So again, they're all really close together. I would say if you just want cell capacity testing, just by the Lease 600. It does that well enough, even though it's a toy. However, I still, because IR is something that really matters to me. If you care about cell resistance and you care about decent capacity testing, buy VP4 Pluses. They're the best of everything. It's the best cross section I've come across. The MC3100, it does some cool stuff, and it's definitely a lot more sophisticated than anything else. But God, it's also a $100 cell tester. I'm so not sure I want to ever pay that ever again for a cell tester. Yeah, the VP4 Pluses, in my opinion, are still the best bang for the buck. The most accuracy, the most reliable, so on and so forth. The Lido Kala and the MC3100 are sketchy as hell on cell IR, but capacities, they do just fine.